Hello and welcome. Thank you all for joining. My name is Sean Neary from Featurespace, the product officer. Today we're going to talk about, really you see a lot of content from vendors and fraud solution providers about how successful they may have been in their offering that they have and their sophistication, but it's quite rare that you get to see from a customer perspective and actually how they've been able to deploy such a solution in such a remote and rapid environment. So today we're bringing together ourselves with one of our customers, Infuse, who I'd just like to introduce now. So I'd like to introduce Michael and Tia, and if we could just get some background from yourselves. So Michael, you good to start, and then we'll go to yourself, Tia.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm Michael, and I work as a customer success manager for Enfuce, which basically means I take care of all things related to the customer relationship once they're past the implementation phase. But before that, I also worked with the implementation team for when Infuse picked up the Featurespace's ARIC platform. So yeah, that's a bit about my background.
Thank you, Michael. And Tia, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience?
Yes. So I'm Tia and joined Infuse at January this year as a fraud manager. And now, as part of my role, is to manage and kind of use the monitoring system at our daily basis. And a little bit about my background, years of experience around fraud monitoring area and fraud management. So continuing that work now at Infuse.
Thank you very much, and thank you again for joining us today. So lots of people understand who Featurespace are. You know, we're the ones posting this video. But what a bit more about Infuse? Could you tell us a bit more about yourselves as a company? You know, where you're based, what do you focus in, which industries you're in?
Sure, absolutely. So Infuse is a payment service provider which means we offer services within payments, including card payments, so be it a credit card, debit cards, prepaid cards, whatever, but also mobile payments and open banking. And we also have a carbon footprint calculator, which basically calculates the CO2 emission of your payment transactions. We are Helsinki, Finland based, with offices also in Sweden and on the Åland Islands. What else could I say? We're one of Nordic's fastest growing fintech startups, and that's about it from on a basic level of Infuse.
Thank you very much. And in a market where we're seeing a lot of sort of new challenger banks and sort of new innovative players in this industry, you know, yourself as Infuse, what made you want to sort of, and your founders, create this company, and what was the differentiators that you thought you would bring to the industry?
Yeah, so for Infuse, the three cornerstones of our services are innovative technology and offering our solutions with extremely high availability. But it's also about having a team of industry experts behind this technology. So the employees have years of experience of payments and can support the use of this technology. And finally, security and compliance is at the forefront of what we do. So when the founders set out to start Infuse, these three things were at the heart of why it started.
Thank you. Is that what sort of drove you to look for as a forefront of security and compliance? Is that what drove you to sort of look for a fraud solution and type of fraud solution you're looking for, which, you know, happened to be ourselves?
Absolutely. So in terms of all the services that we offer, we want to provide our customers with best-in-class services. So for me, when I started, one of the first things that I did was review our existing fraud monitoring solution and think of how we could improve upon that and make sure that we can offer a future-proof solution that is at the forefront of security and compliance.
Thank you. And Tia, having such a history in your fraud career and you know, moving about in this industry, what made you want to come and join, you know, Infuse and form part of this this wonderful team that Michael was just spoken about?
Yes, thank you, and good question. Actually, well, the main reasons was basically the Infuse background and innovation, and the ways of working, and actually all the possibilities to learn and grow, and kind of take more ownership of things. And I think there is a lot of possibilities to actually experience so much. So basically that, and of course there is a little fraud related interest as well, but basically that is my reasons to join.
Thank you very much. And have you seen, is there a complete difference in the way you're working from a fraud perspective, based on the sort of the customer base that you have, and just the way that Infuse to set themselves up? Is there you seen a unique way of managing fraud for the better to what you're used to?
Well, I think there is both ways. Of course, there is new things to learn, but as well around the fraud area, there is a lot of similarities, even though customers change or systems change. So I think both maybe would be my answer in this.
And thank you. And Michael, for yourself, you as you say, you were one of the core drivers in identifying a new fraud solution. Would you say that was because, again, there has been a shift and change in general fraud management, and the need for perhaps a different style of fraud solution to enable you to be more in control of such an innovative and fast-paced product offering that you have?
You almost put the words in my mouth. So that's that was definitely the core of what we went out to look for. So we wanted to have a solution that both technically could, without much hassle, be implemented into our cloud-based payment platform, and the solution needed to be, from a technical perspective, one where we could deploy new rules at a fast pace and not have to involve different tech people in order to do that, but also sort of empower the fraud managers and fraud analysts at the company. But as you said, in terms of customer needs, one of the main reasons was, or one of the most important features was the multi-tenancy feature, in which where we could deliver customizable fraud and AML controls to our customers, even down to individual customers. Yeah.
So just so I understand it, also, so that sort of helped you sort of onboard new financial institutions with sort of minimal effort, and sort of that speed of delivery to get you up and running was, again, part of that driver?
Precisely. So what we want to offer on Enfuse side is speed of delivery. You should be able to get your credit card out on the market in record time, and obviously that also involves offering an industry-best fraud monitoring solution. And we wanted to ensure that when we go with ARIC, when we go with the new vendor, we're able to also implement this part of the project at a rapid pace without giving in to the level of quality of that service. So for sure. And I could add also that the good thing of multi-tenancy is that we're able to offer both a service to those customers that want to fully outsource fraud monitoring to us, and sort of use a full turnkey solution where they can focus on their core business, but also for experienced or customers with an existing fraud team. We wanted to be able to offer to them a more managed solution where they get access to the ARIC UI that is obviously connected to the Infuse payment platform and can do their own fraud analytics.
Wow, so it's a lot to take in, and a very complex sort of strategy to come up with. So I think that must take a long time to sort of think about and sort of understand how you're gonna set up as part of the solution. And to your point about rapid and deployments, if I remember rightly, when we did the project, it was entirely remote. I don't think we ever came on site. It was mainly through video conferences and telephone calls, and we I don't think we ever came on site to do any aspect of the deployment at all. That's correct?
Yeah, it was fully remotely done, and quite fast actually. So that was a very cool experience.
That's good to hear. And I don't know about you, but I find that only works based on relationships and the ability to find a great relationship. And there are certain perceptions where sometimes you build that by being face to face. Now, we never met face to face, and for me, I think I found the relationship working with yourselves to be amazing. It's been quite forthcoming. How have you found building a relationship with us, a vendor that you've never met, trying to deploy such a complex solution that you've just explained to us? How have you found that? How have you found working with a company such as ourselves in such a complex project?
Sure. So I think the absolutely most important factor is that we were always very transparent in what we wanted from Featurespace in terms of the most important factors. I talked about multi-tenancy and all that, and it felt like the relationship was quite fast, one where you were as honest to us, and we could have very good open discussions in terms of project timelines, the features that we enter and start with, and all of that. So it was for sure a collaboration between both Enfuse and Featurespace, and I was quite happy to see that both parties were very passionate throughout the project.
That's really good to hear. And Tia, from your perspective, you got these different tiers and layered approach to sort of now creating a fraud solution and an offering for your customers, whilst you're also trying to maintain control on behalf of some customers. How have you found working remotely with a new system that you may never have come across before, in such, again, a fast-paced environment?
Well, yeah, actually quite good, because I think ongoing meetings and ongoing support from Featurespace's side at the moment and within the last 3 months or so has been quite, I think it's quite natural and quite good, even though everything is remotely and mostly never seen face to face, but still I think it goes very, very good. And there is always ongoing connection to whatever the issue is or whatever question I need kind of clarification on. So I think that goes very well, because of course in daily life and in production there is situation and stuff we need to ask and so on. So I think no complaints about that.
That's what I like to hear. No complaints. That's definitely what I like to hear. And so thank you to give that compliment. What would you think, your day-to-day life using the system, was it quite easy for you to pretty much pick up the new features, pick up, using it day in, day out to manage your fraud and your fraud for your customers? Have you managed to sort of settle in, or did it take some time? What's the favorite part of your platform? What do you think has changed your way of fraud management as a result of using Featurespace?
Well, I think the onboarding in general and the onboarding process to a new platform and to new monitoring system went quite well and quite easily, and I'm quite pleased for that. And of course there is new things to learn and new things to establish and so on, but basically the entire user interface view and layout and all that, it's quite transparent, so we can make fast and kind of we have multiple possibilities to kind of make the user interface be what we need, and we can use that, as Michael mentioned, the multi-tenant solution, and kind of customize different things. And I think the most important and nicest thing, if so to say, is that you can do so much things in the same user interface. So when there is a speed and stuff going on, it's good to have all in same place. But yeah, overall the onboarding it was good.
Fantastic. And I think the main question everyone will always like to hear, from a customer is, what's the outcome been? Have you been able to keep on top of the fraud? Have you been identifying fraud as it comes in? Again, your customer bases are across multiple regions, so they have different challenges, different attacks, different MOs. So is the platform helping you stop that fraud, identify that fraud as you expected? Is that something you could share with us?
Yeah, well, basically, of course, it's a complex thing, as we know, and as we have talked today as well. But it's complex, and of course, our team and our people at Infuse, we have that expertise, of course, preventing fraud and detecting fraud. But as well, we need good solution and good system to kind of support our mission as well. So I think the cooperation between us and you, and with the new system, I think that all in all has been and has had great values and great kind of results. And as well as I mentioned earlier, the kind of the fast, well, the ability to react fast is, I think that is the key word, and kind of identifying more deviation in card usage based on the average levels. I think that is the good thing, and we kind of, should I say, benefit, and our customers benefit. But I think that's the good results while fighting against.
If
Sorry,
I could
Michael?
could I add to that in the sense that the transparency of the platform, as Tia said, enables us to reduce our false positive, in the sense that we can see that we can leverage the platform to better knowing whether the alerts are genuine or not. So we're making sure that we don't bother our end customers or our customers' end customers, the actual card holders, in situations where it's actually genuine. The customer has traveled abroad and it's his own transaction. So that's, I guess, the most practical implication of us using Eric.
I love a good story. I love good news based on the solution, especially as a product officer. It's always good to hear that. So I thank you for your openness on the effectiveness of that solution as well for our audience. I must also say, the relationship that we had has definitely been key, especially from a remote perspective. The openness you referred to earlier on has made a huge difference. It's been an absolute delight working with you, and I've worked with many customers, and they're all amazing, and it's always great to see that honesty seems to be usually the best solution to getting a good result, a good delivery of a good working relationship. And I love to hear that you're saying this now as part of this recording. So what's next? What's next up for Infuse? Again, you're across multiple regions, and it's a fast-paced environment from a regulatory perspective, everything else. What's the next stages now we've done this initial sort of deployment and we're effective in what we're doing now? What do you think for the future?
I'd say that overall, it's what's next. It means for Infuse, it means that we're staying on top of compliance and security. As I said, it's at the forefront of what we do. And for our customers who operate in various industries, it's important for them to know that Infuse is not only staying up to date in terms of these requirements, but actually figuring out, being at the forefront of figuring out what to do next when these regulations change. An example would be in terms of changing the risk and fraud landscape. An example would be PSD2 and risk-based authentications and the effects it will have on strong customer authentication. What I'm happy to see is that we've had great discussions with Featurespace throughout the months of the changing process, and we're on top of things in terms of how we could use Eric to strengthen our existing solutions.
It's a very good point. It seems to be, regulations are moving very fast, and I know there's a lot of uncertainty based on what the regulations will mean for our environment, especially for fraudsters pivoting to to other channels. And as you say, you know, we are working together. No one wants to discuss PSD2 into great detail, so we won't. But the authentication piece is important, and as you know, we've been talking about, and there's other products we're offering, sort of in the freely secure space and in the general payment space as well. And again, our solution, as you know, is a solution that has been built for the customers by our customers, as in we try to understand your business and where you're moving and your problems, and introduce that into the platform. And as you say, we've been working together with yourselves on that and our other customers. So I look forward to very much continuing that relationship. And to you, Michael and Tia, it's just great to be able to have this conversation, to share this conversation with a wider audience. You know, because it's quite often, as I said at the beginning, a lot of vendors and suppliers, you know, a lot of content you will see is usually from the supplier, from the vendor, and it can be seen as a bias. So I appreciate you've spent your time to come onto this and share your story about our working relationship, how you've built such an amazing, you know, offering out into the industry of financial institutions and across the globe, and in doing it in such a rapid time frame, and again remotely, which is becoming more and more of a sort of approach that people are now looking at, including, you know, also do you do prem or do you on cloud? So I do appreciate you coming on here and talking to us, and I look forward to very much working with you in the future as well. So
thank you, Sean.
Thank you. Thank everybody else for thank you, and thanks everybody else for watching. Take care.